World AIDS Day was Tuesday. While there has been much progress in prevention and medication, the face of the disease has changed dramatically. The HIV virus is now disproportionately affecting racial and ethnic minorities, in particular African Americans. Joining me now to discuss the details is Booker Daniels with the Center for Disease Control Division of HIV/AIDS. Mr. Daniels, welcome first of all. And tell me some more about the impact of HIV on the African American communities.
Thank you for having me, Belva. Broadly, there are over 1 million people in the United States currently living with HIV. In addition, there are 56,000 new infections each year. But it's important to note that since African Americans comprise 12% of the U.S. population, they represent nearly 50% of all new HIV infections.
50%.
Nearly 50% of all new HIV infections. And when we break that down to African American men and women, we know that 1 in 16 African American men will have the risk of becoming diagnosed with HIV in their lifetime, and 1 in 30 African American women will share that same risk of HIV infection during the course of their lifetime. The HIV epidemic clearly has a disproportionate impact on the African American community.
Is this a surprise that it just happened overnight? When did we start this climb of numbers within this one community?
It's important to note that African Americans have borne a burden of HIV throughout the course of the epidemic. But what we're finding more recently is that as the epidemic becomes more prevalent throughout the country, that we do see increased rates among African Americans and certainly other racial and ethnic minorities.
Why? Do we know why? Do we have any idea why?
There's a complex set of factors that contribute to the burden of HIV among African Americans. A whole host of issues ranging from limited access to health care, stigma, misconceptions, and taboos associated with HIV, and sexual risk behaviors. We also know that African Americans in many instances are delayed in their access to health care. As a result, when they do seek treatment, they're further along in the disease process.
And how's the community reacting to this?
You know, the community mobilization has always been a cornerstone of how the African American community has responded to a whole host of threats, whether it's the civil rights movement to a whole host of different areas. And the same thing is being brought to bear in response to the HIV epidemic among African Americans. Certainly more community mobilization needs to take place, but there are efforts underway throughout communities, ranging from the faith community to the civic social organizations. Fraternities and sororities are now starting to move to the forefront in this issue. For instance, CDC has developed its Act Against AIDS Leadership Initiative, which is comprised of some of the 14 of the largest and most reputable organizations serving African Americans, to include the National Urban League, the National NAACP, and Phi Beta Sigma, all of which have integrated HIV prevention into their activities.
This has been a particular problem in the Bay Area, and in particular in Alameda County. And there, a group called the 100 Black Women have organized, and we see posters around town about this, and they've been talking about this for months. But recent numbers that I saw about Oakland, that Oakland was like the leader nationally in diagnosed AIDS cases. Is that something that you've heard at the CDC about a particular problem in Alameda County?
Well, I can say that broadly that urban communities, not unlike Alameda County and Oakland, California, have borne a disproportionate impact, as you'd expect with cities with higher levels of African Americans. We know that Washington, D.C. has an epidemic with unique characteristics. We also know that the Bronx, New York, and certainly Houston area also has a major epidemic, but you see commonalities among all those different cities. We see joblessness, homelessness, limited access to care. All those things are commonalities you find in each of those cities, and those are some of the things that are being addressed to address this epidemic.
What about testing? I mean, have we been seeing this coming because there have been more cases found as you've tested, or what?
That's absolutely a very important question. Yes, you're right. HIV testing is a key step in two areas. First of all, HIV prevention. By engaging in testing, people know their status, and they also have the opportunity that if they are diagnosed as HIV negative, they have the chance to learn more about risk behaviors. Also, HIV testing has proven to be a great means of community mobilization, as more and more of the organizations that you made reference to integrate HIV testing into a lot of their community outreach activities.
I saw a statistic where young black women, 25 to 35 or something, AIDS was a leading cause of death.
Yeah, that's a really compelling statistic that African American women between the ages of 25 to 34, that's the leading cause of death. That strikes down many African American women during one of the prime periods of their life.
Well, in the earlier fights, it's been awareness and testing that has really caused some of the numbers to go down in other communities. So I guess it's getting the word out. So we thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to join you.